They tryna turn Trenton into Baby Flint. Been signs by depression on the billboards ever since. 100 years ago we was lynched. Now they use germ warfare to kill us. I'm convinced, got the evidence. I look around and it's evident. Then go down to City Hall and see so much negligence. Real art is intelligent. A true artist sends messages that speak to your intelligence. They fought and died so I can do my thing. Not to get drunk and high or join no gang. I will not let none of you die in vain. For my people I bang, bang, bang. My ancestors been through so much pain. I don't let them die in vain. My ancestors been through so much pain. I don't let them die in vain. I rep for you in everything I do. I rep for you in every place I go. I rep for you in everything I do. In every place I go. They say post-traumatic slavery disorder's fake, but I just tell them all to wake up. Everything we went through, what a way down a rape, bro. Isn't our genetic makeup. So I am my ancestors from block to block. Let's build like it's Tetris. We must unite, link up like a necklace. They fought and died and we disrespected. So I come to correct it. The legacy they left I protected. We only think about self and neglected. You're African but yet you rejected. No. My ancestors been through so much pain. I don't let them die in vain. My ancestors been through so much pain. I don't let them die in vain. I rep for you in everything I do. I rep for you in every place I go. I rep for you in everything I do. In every place I go. I do. I go.
Peace and blessings, family. This is Brother Shareef and Brother Deen here at the New Exchange Learning Center here in York, PA, 629 West Market Street, with our another session of What is Islam? Please send in your questions and topics as we get started so we can have another informative learning session about what is Islam. But as always, we start out with our universal prayer. So pray in a manner that is comfortable to you. In the name of God, the gracious, the merciful, we give him praise and thanks for his mercy and his goodness to the human family. If all the trees upon the earth were pens to write with, and if all the oceans were ink, and then another 7 oceans to add to its supply, the writing would still not be enough to explain the glory of God, for he's the exalted, all-powerful, all-wise. We confide in no other in our time of need, and we praise no other in our good fortune. He is one. And even if I lived to be 1,000, it would still not be enough to thank God for his many blessings and gifts. We thank God for the Metu Neter, oracle scriptures and writings that came on the continent of Africa thousands of years before any organized religion. We thank God for Moses in the Torah, Jesus in the gospel, and Muhammad with the Quran. We greet everyone in words of peace. To our Christian family, praise the Lord. To our Muslim family, assalamu alaikum. To our Hebrew Israelite family, shalom. To our Black conscious family, hotep. To our Native American family, peace and blessings. And to our people in the streets, what's good to you? It all means peace. Here is our good brother, Brother Deen. What's going on, bro?
Not much, not much. Thank you again for being here and us coming together and sharing our understanding on the faith of Islam and being in good fellowship and brotherhood with other people of faith and other religions, as well as bringing a message, a sober message, to the common person. So I'm happy to be here as well. Thank you.
Definitely big shout out to our brother John. He's taking a little break this week to refresh and just get himself together. We all need rest and to take a break, but he's here in spirit. So big shout out to our elder, brother John. Hopefully, he's able to listen in. But we're just giving a shout out to him as he's getting some rest.
Yes, sir. We are fastly approaching uh, the month of Ramadan, the month the month in which the Quran was revealed. So we might be able to talk a little bit about that this evening, as well as other topics that anyone has any interest in, and expanding their understanding. I don't see anyone on yet. Let me check.
Yes, if you have any questions or topics that you would like to discuss, please send them through the feed. You're on my page, and is it? Are we still hooked up to the YouTube link?
Yeah, New Freedom Exchange on YouTube as
New
well
Fre-
as Facebook.
New Freedom Exchange on YouTube. Have to start inviting more people on that link because not everyone is on Facebook. But I do have people who still request me to do some things on my YouTube page. I have to start redirecting them to that one, um, so they can tune into this also. It's one young brother who reached out to me about Islam. He said he recently took his shahada. I just seen him log on. Can you see him on there, brother? Want to give him a special shout out. Hoopstar Clay, can you see that?
I don't see it on my end.
Yeah, it's on my page. But big shout out to the young brother. He said he just recently took his shahada, trying to get himself together in life and expand in knowledge. So I invited him to the podcast, and I just seen him log on my page. So thank you for tuning in, young brother. Keep striving and keep striving to get closer to the Most High God. And if you have any questions, now is the time for you to ask. So go on and send any questions through. Don't be shy. No question is a dumb question. The only dumb question is when you don't ask a question. So send your questions, topics, or concerns through.
Yeah, and the Shahada or the testimony, the witnessing that there's one God worthy of worship, and that Muhammad, the Quran was revealed, is the prophet and the messenger of Allah. And there are other tenets of the religion.
Mhm.
Trying to see what's echo. There are other tenets of the faith that are uh, in line with the previous religions. That is prayer, charity, fasting during the month of Ramadan, and pilgrimage to the Kaaba, the house built for all mankind.
Indeed, and now is definitely a time. Not that um, it isn't relevant anytime, but now is definitely the time to be drawing closer to the Most High because Satan is definitely on a rampage. I don't know if you've seen it, but uh, all going throughout the social social media and over the airwaves. It's been a firestorm going on about this rapper called Little Nas and how he came out with these sneakers that are dedicated to worshiping Satan. So that's been all over the airwaves, and he said it's like a drop of blood in the sneakers. Now I just seen today where Nike has put in like a some kind of order where they're making it clear that they have nothing to do with it, and they're stopping the reproduction of these sneakers called 666 or something like that. But it's basically um, directed towards the worship of Satan, and this rapper is called Little Nas. But he said his lawyer said that they already sent out 600 plus pairs of these sneakers, so they can't take it back. So that's caused a lot of firestorm. The worship of Satan. I was surprised, but I wasn't surprised when I saw it. So once again, a powerful tool like hip hop is being used to influence the minds of our young people. First, back in the late '70s, well, mainly the early '80s, um, the message of unity, building business, respecting each other as kings and queens. Satan came in and derailed that. Now they're trying to get the youth to literally worship Satan. So this is very dangerous.
And I see it has a biblical scripture on there, Luke 10:18, where it's given as Jesus saying, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I actually saw that. Am I correct that he actually has that scripture ingrained in the sneaker?
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Luke 10:18. Wow,
Mhm.
almost to try to give credibility to the Satan worship. Now, what would be our interpretation or any believer's correct interpretation of that verse? Can you post that? Luke 10:18. What does it say again?
It's given a caption as in the voice of Jesus saying, I beheld Satan fall from heaven like lightning.
He beheld Satan.
Fall from heaven like lightning. It reminds me of the fallen angel. I haven't read this whole verse. I will probably have to read
Mhm,
the whole verse. But
mhm,
there is in scripture, even in our faith, we have, uh, for lack of a better word, a scenario, a scene in the scripture that talks about um, the man is made falling down from a heavenly state to the earth. And from my
mhm,
understanding is that the orientation, the original orientation for humanity, when you come out of that original nature, it's like you're falling down to the fleshly appetites or the earthly appetites. But I would have to read this verse entirely to really understand
mhm.
what they're referring to.
Well, we know our brother Jesus, Esau, um, Esau ben Mariam, however you refer to him. We know he lived his life to fight against the temptations of Satan. So I haven't read that verse fully either, but I'm sure it's being taken out of context by this rapper, or it's others influencing him to do this.
Yeah,
This
they
isn't
use
of
that.
himself. We always have to, understand that. Just like as great as these men were that we mentioned, Jesus, Abraham, Moses, Noah, Muhammad, peace be upon them all. The great things that they did wasn't of themselves. It came from the Most High, and the Most High used them as a vessel to reach the people. When you see things like this in the line of worshiping Satan, who's ever driving this message, it's the same thing. It's not of themselves either. It's higher forces, much, I don't want to say greater, much more powerful and influential than this little Nas driving him to push this message of Satan worship. So um, he's out in front, and it was I don't know if you could look this up, brother, but it was a it's not an acronym, but it's several letters, and I didn't get a chance to look it up because I was looking at it before I came into it. It's like MHPS. It's the company that's promoting this, and it's several letters like MHPCS, but it's the company that's backing him up, this little Nas, to push these sneakers. I don't know if you could look it up, but I didn't get a chance to see who they are and what those letters represent. And anyone out there listening, if you're just coming in, we're talking about the rapper Little Nas with these Satan worship sneakers. If anyone can tell us what that company is with those several letters that's pushing him and backing him up to do this. And then we see your question, brother, but when we'll get to it, Mr. Clay. We see your question, your comment there. We'll definitely address that in a few short minutes after we try to decipher who's pushing this.
Oh, the MCHA.
Yes, yes. What does that stand for? Because they're the ones backing him up in this. If anyone out there listening knows who's backing this little Nas up with this Satan worship sneakers that he just came out, but Nike has totally disconnected themselves from this. They said they have nothing to do with it. Uh, uh,
short for mission. MSCHF.
It's an acronym for what?
I mean, it sounds like mission. Shorthand for mission.
Wow. Okay.
And that's one of the signs of this influence of Satan. They're an open enemy.
Mm-hmm. We was talking about this last week. Isn't that something?
They call it the Jesus shoes.
The Jesus shoes. Wow. Mm-mm-mm. And we're those of the Christian faith are supposed to be celebrating the resurrection of Jesus, which that goes deeper than what um, is really put out there and promoted. It's really supposed to be a resurrection of your life and your behavior. That's the real resurrection, but that's another topic.
Also, Mischief is known for its stunt products like this 2019 Jesus shoes for $1,400 a pair.
Mm.
Then they came out with the Satan shoes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that Lil Nas is.
Right. I've never even heard of this guy before. I never heard.
He did that song with the
in.
cowboy. He did the Black Cowboy song. I don't know if you remember that song with a famous country singer. It was about a few years ago. I got to see about it, but again, this is how culture, the culture manipulates, as you mentioned sometime, the what you call the culture engineers, social engineers.
Social engineering. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they use culture to present ideas that are sacred or reverenced by people, and they exploit them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they know how powerful hip hop is and has been, especially in urban culture. So they're definitely using that as a way to push their agenda and to get us away from the original, idea and platform of hip hop. Again, how powerful it was back in the day, influencing us to love each other, to treat each other with respect and dignity, to push unity, business, and they totally derailed that with gangster rap, and now they're taking it to a whole nother level with Satan worship. Uh, so you said this young man has been out here before?
Yeah, he been out for a little while. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He
I
made it
probably
big with
have
that.
to be reminded.
Yeah, he made it big with that song, that cowboy song, where he did a partnership with a famous country rock singer.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, I hope our young people don't. But I mean, obviously, he has support from the past.
Old Town Road. You remember that song, Old Town Road?
Oh yeah, I
that's
remember that.
that's
Okay.
that's Lil Nas.
Yeah, I would go to a couple of daycares and stuff, and they'd be bobbing and weaving to it, but I never knew that that was him. I just thought it was a country singer. But I remember going to a couple of skating parties with the youth, and they would always play that. Oh, okay. Okay, so he's not new on the scene, but he's taking it to another level now. Lord have mercy. Little Nas.
And even like speaking of the Quran, we know Nas, it means mankind in the scriptures.
Mhm.
So
I wonder what the real Nas thinks about all this. Because his messages have, for the most part, what I've seen, always been positive and thought provoking. I've never seen Nas encourage anyone to be worshiping Satan. He's always been positive, as far as I know.
in the yeah, it's a concept. These are ideas. These are concepts that are used to influence the public life, to influence the masses, to control, to compartmentalize, marginalize the general public. It goes actually back, you can tell, to ancient Egypt. I even see where they said the pyramid, the two pyramids. They had a concept that you could go up to God or you can fall down to the dog. And you can And the term God going one way, the other way is Dog, and that's an ancient concept that they use over the masses of the people.
Hmm. And the influence of Islam in hip hop is definitely something that the powers that be didn't want to see keep flourishing. You had poor righteous teachers, you had Big Daddy Kane, you had
Influence
X
of Islam.
Clan. All of them were talking about black consciousness in Islam in one way or another. Of course, Public Enemy, all of them uh, were speaking certain aspects of Islam and us elevating our thinking. So Satan definitely wanted to drown out that voice and elevate, the thinking and the mindset of Satan. Now they're just taking it to a totally different level. I mean, they're just coming right out with it now. That was Satan back then, but they're taking it to a whole nother level now. That's why we have to keep reaching out to our youth because Satan doesn't stop. If he can't get you on one angle, he'll come at another. So we can't stop with pushing truth and elevating God the way um, it should be. Not that he needs our help, but um, tactics like this is trying to drown out the voice of God, which will never happen. But they're definitely trying to sway the people in the way of Satan. Literally, very sad, very dangerous.
And that's where it starts. It starts in the language. It's like when you say literally, that's like literacy.
Hmm.
And so, because most of our people are not worldly literate, not even scripturally literate, culturally literate, we're just being manipulated by the lack of knowledge.
Hmm. For those who are listening in, can you give us your feedback on
Culturally
this?
literate,
What do you think about
we're just
uh,
being manipulated by the lack of knowledge.
it? What do you think about the what's going on with this little Nas? Can you give us some feedback? You're awful quiet out there. This is call and response. So let us know what you think about what this rapper and the powers of be are attempting to do to sway the minds of the people. Um, oh, our brother asked a question. He said he has to go, but he said no one in his family is Muslim, and he feel out of place and sometimes feel like people don't take him serious in changing his life. You have any feedback on that, brother? And he said he has to basically has to go. That he'll tune in next time.
Yeah, real briefly, one thing that comes to mind is think of yourself as a millionaire. I mean, among people who don't have money, right? Think of somebody who has knowledge among people who don't have education. There's going to always feel there's going to always feel like there's a separation because of a new change or something that you might be taking serious that others don't see the benefit of. You just keep being persistent, keep being the best you can be, and they appreciate your consistency more than anything.
Definitely, and I think a lot of times uh, we think that we have to say a lot to get our message across when really it's just through our everyday actions. You can teach just by your everyday actions. I remember I used to watch my father how he would just do basic things around the house by cleaning. He would fold up his clothes and put them on a hanger. He would put his shoes in a shoe box. He was very tidy. He didn't have to say, "Son, you got to do this, this, and that." I was just watching him. Now, here I am. I do the same exact thing. I fold up my clothes. I put my shoes in a shoebox. I'm very, neat and orderly. But my dad never sat down and gave me a lesson on those things. I just watched him. So it's the same thing with Islam, which is a lifestyle and a way of life. Just do the right thing, continue to strive to be the best you can, and people will notice it right away. You will separate yourself from the crowd, and without you saying anything, people will start gravitating towards you, which is your family first, and say, "Well, why this or why'd you do that? I notice you do this or don't do that," and then that's what opens up the conversation and dialogue. And then that's the direct teaching. But the indirect teaching is just by you being yourself and changing your lifestyle. You don't even have to, you don't really have to say much. They'll see, they'll see your actions. Just be as consistent and sincere as you can. And that'll open up the dialogue on its own. You don't have to open up a book and browbeat someone, as they say. A lot of our people get caught up in that and actually run people away when all you have to do is be yourself and be Muslim. You'll separate yourself from the crowd.
Yeah, we say it all the time. Like actions speak louder than words. Literally, it's what we do has a bigger impact than what we say, especially if what we say is not being seen.
Hmm. Yep, it speaks volumes. Any questions for the viewers out there? A little light tonight, but that's all right. If we enlighten one, we've done our job. Any questions or topics that you have, please don't be shy. Send them in the feed, whether it's on the YouTube um, viewers or on Facebook. Any topics or questions, and even if it seems to be uncomfortable, we learn sometimes by um, disagreement or uncomfortable topics. We don't have to agree. Don't think that we're going to jump through the screen after you if you bring up a topic that seems uncomfortable. Um, just shoot it to us, and we'll do the best we can in all sincerity to ask it. You know, now's the time.
I think another thing in connection to what we were just discussing about the influence in culture, how we see how it ripples down to the young people, in the community,
Hmm.
and we see the senseless violence and the behavior, in the society. You know, it's breeded. It's not something original. You know, they have to have a reference point to even carry out some of these ideas and thoughts.
Yes, I was talking to a young brother earlier today, and he was telling me about how he changed his life around and how he used to live that, dangerous, kind of reckless lifestyle. And the first thing he attributed to what's going on now is the music. He said these young people actually think that they have to live this out and like it's real. They go to sleep listening to it. They ride around listening to it. It is like interwoven in their DNA. And he said the music definitely has a huge influence in us, older generation. We known it because we lived. Many of us lived through, the positive or the golden age of hip hop, and we know how the positive hip hop influenced us, and we seen the transition. But many of them didn't see or live through the transition. If you ask the average young person now, we know about Brand Nubians, Public Enemy. It would be like speaking Greek to them. So all many of them know is this negative hip hop now. It's not hip hop. It's garbage. It's death style music. But many of them think that it's real and they're living it out. It's very dangerous.
And it's unfortunate those who, understand. Well, I will say, there's a sister actually in Harrisburg, Queen Michelle. She has hip hop. She's a hip hop educator, and she teaches the positive and the productive aspects of rap and hip hop. And so we might also have to look into see if we could, connect with some of those who have that interest to compete, with the what's popularly presented as or misused in the music industry and culture to try to combat these problems. The brother said, "What is your opinion on forcing medicine to anyone that they say must have it, including medicine that some may say they need to live a normal life?"
Yeah, if you could clarify that a little more, what type of medicine and for what reason are they taking the medicine? If you could clarify that a little more, maybe I'll be able to give you a better answer. Taking medicine for what reason? If you can give us some more clarity on that, maybe I can help you out. Taking medicine for what reason? You said you have some contacts right here in Harrisburg? Or I mean, we're in York, but in
Yeah,
yeah,
if there's I could reach out to her.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that music is definitely being drowned out. I guess they call it underground um, music, and it's hard to get producers to push that music because that's not the music that they want. They want death style music. They don't want anything that's going to revert back to the golden age of hip hop, which again was talking about unity. We were calling each other kings and queens, talking about business and building and unity, and now it's death style. They totally reverse that message, kings and queens to, those nasty, the B word, the N word. They reversed, everything that was positive and building our minds up. Um, so now anyone that's trying to, talk about that, it's very hard to get record labels and anyone to back them to get that music out there. It's not totally drowned out, but it's of course not as popular to hit the airwaves and to get the backing for that underground music that has a positive message. It's very sad.
Yeah, I just found I'll bring it up real quick just to show the audience. This is Queen Michelle, Hip Hop Education for Youth to empower youth ability to learn, increase social skills, and to create curriculums to incorporate hip hop history, foundation, and its grassroots. So this is her website, and I'll put this also in the link on your page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she goes into all this on the website.
Mm,
Yep.
mm. So it looks like our brother clarified his first question. He said COVID or any medication that's offered. Well, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm just your brother. I can only give my personal opinion. I'm not taking no COVID vaccine. Absolutely not. I'm gonna take the medicine of God, which is fruits, vegetables, and food from the earth. I'm not taking no vaccine because historically, like I've mentioned before on many of my podcasts, America, and particularly Black America, historically has not done well with vaccinations from America. After we've taken certain vaccinations from America, our health has only gotten worse. Most recently, several strands of cancer after vaccinations just not has historically worked well for our people. You got the Tuskegee experiment. This just seems like another experiment to me. People are getting vaccinated, but COVID is still running rampant. Um, I see people, post that they've taken their second shot, and I can't tell people what to do, with their life. You have to do what's best for you. But me personally, and my children, I'm not taking no vaccine. And anything else, you have to do, what's best for you. But right now, the raging debate or topic right now is whether or not to take the COVID vaccine. Um, I say eat from the food of God. What can possibly be better than the medicine and the food of God? Um, Fruits, vegetables, drinking water. That's the food and the medicine of God. And there's nothing greater than Him. I'm not taking no vaccine.
Yeah, you should have a choice. I mean, you have the right to put in your body what you feel as though will work for you and your system. But natural, of course, is always the best because that's what's created by God, and that's one of the principles of our fasting during the month of Ramadan, is to return to that original nature that God created us in and creation in, and so we re-engage that creation um, to better our life. Again, these things that come into society for intended purposes. You have to be aware of it. You should know as much as you can about anything that you put in your body that's unnatural, and That's for you to decide. If we're supposed to be in the land of the free, right, and independent, so we should be able to make intelligent, informed, and we as Muslims we prefer also guided decisions. We don't just make scientific, analysis without also, uh, and other people of faith without also um, referencing scripture and the Word of God as in guidance.
It's just strange how we have all this, technology, and hundreds of years ago, we had less resources, less technology. We were more healthy. They were eating from the earth and none of this synthetic stuff or whatever you want to call it now. And we were more healthy then. You go in the scriptures, people were supposedly living hundreds of years. You know, I think some of that is spiritual when they say so and so lived 500, 600, 7. I think they were more talking about their lineage and their teachings. I don't know if they were actually living to 8, 900 years old, but either way, uh, with less resources, we didn't have all these cancers and all these diseases, all these chronic diseases. Now we're supposed to live in technology age and more resources and knowledge, and we're living less, we're less healthy. Um, I'm going back to the old school and eating from the food of God. I'm not taking no vaccine, but again, like the brother said, that is your choice. I'm not here to tell you what you should or shouldn't put in your body. But for me, I'm eating from the food of God, which is fruits and vegetables and water, exercise, you breathe in fresh air. God blessed us with plenty of snow before winter went out. Just a couple weeks ago, snow purifies the air, and they say this is an airborne disease. So God was blessing us while some of us were complaining, like, "Oh my gosh, it's snowing so much, and I can't wait to summer." Well, snow purifies the air. So, there you go. Anything natural, that's what I'm leaning towards. I've made it this far without no vaccine, and I'm gonna keep on. It is what it is.
The brother said he take medicine for his condition, and I truly believe that they are trying to call us. May say kill us. The treatment of my condition is not really getting any more better. Essential tremors.
Yeah, I would definitely look into some of Dr. Sabi's products. He has a lot of natural products. That's why they wanted to try to silence him, and many of his products help with many different conditions. And maybe look into something natural. They have a health food store right here in York that helps out with many different ailments and chronic diseases. Maybe that will give you some ease.
Yeah, everything in the environment that we come in contact with as a human community, uh, there's benefit for us, and consequently, there's harm. And so, we do have natural remedies. Uh, it wouldn't be justice to have a creation or body that can't be healed by the things in the environment naturally. Um, so don't never underestimate just because it's not a popular position or opinion. Uh, like the brother said, you gotta, maybe put a little more effort into it to achieving it or to acquiring it. But most likely it'll be much more better for you. But again, we're not professionals in in light of that. So each of you have to make your own informed, and we also say guided decisions.
I think black seed oil helps out with a lot of different ailments too. I'm actually um, get a hold of some um, in the near future. I'm taking some sea moss right now that helps flush out toxins in your body, boost your immune system, which is very important now with this COVID because they say that COVID is a host for those who have weak immune systems and pre-existing conditions. That sea moss is very helpful with boosting your immune system and flushing toxins out of your body, which will eliminate your body being a host for these diseases like and infections like COVID. Drinking alkaline water, which helps eliminate toxicity in your body, and cancer can't reside in the same body that has how high alkaline in it. And I've been talking about alkaline water for months now, even before COVID even hit us over a year and a half ago. Alkaline water, I think, has 8.8 or 9.5 pH balance in it. And again, cancer can't reside in the same body that has a high amount of alkaline in it.
The brother also made a point about reading about how Muslims uh, in medicine do man-made medicine a while ago, or maybe someone told me such and such. But as the brother mentioned, I thought about there is a history of Muslims in medicine. In fact, it is reported that the Muslims, um, after going through Africa and into Europe, not by, as is popularly known, by force, but by trade and by invitation. Of course, there were wars that broke out, along the way, but it was never the intention to spread this faith and this new understanding by the way of force and war. But the Muslims, after receiving the revelation, they study as they went to different cultures and different civilizations. They study what was in those societies, and it is reported that the Muslims advanced medicine so much so that it was one of the bedrocks for the new, what they call the Renaissance in Europe. Not just medicine, but also art, um, also culture and other aspects of society. By them coming into this new understanding uh, of scripture, they also advance society. And there are a few books. We will try to get those references before the show is out for those of you who like to read more on that. There is also a website, I believe it's called 1001 Inventions. And it shows how Muslims influence almost everything that we have in this modern society. Let's see if I can find it.
Switching gears a little bit, what do you think about the Derek Chauvin case with the Derek Chauvin trial? It's like in the third day now, and of course that's from almost this time last year, the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis, the cop who kneeled on him for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Now his trial, and it's explosive. I can't watch it. Um, I can't watch it for many reasons because it's going to prompt me to say something. And what I have going on, that's not too good. Not that I'm being silenced or not wanting to speak on truth, but even my spirit, even if I wasn't um, um, in my quest for being a mayor of York, even if that wasn't going on, it's it's not good for me right now. But have you been watching any of it on CNN? I think it comes on another channel.
I haven't watched. I haven't watched any of the live. I've watched some of the clips on CNN, but you could tell it's a very sensitive situation. It's a crucial case. We just have to, like you said, you got to be very careful because things like this could continue to spew separation between peoples, between cultures, between society, between institutions in the society, the law officers and those law-abiding citizens and law-abiding officers, right? Because that's something we take for granted, that just because you're a law officer don't mean you're respecting the law, right? And this is what is being shown across the media, and it's been going on as we know for centuries, but it's just becoming more prevalent. And so we could take this time to use it as a teachable moment and try not to, tear us apart, or we could, just get swallowed up with this the implications, right? Because if If another case goes down where there's still no signs of justice for people who quote unquote represent the law or represent law and order, it doesn't look good for the average person, in the cities, especially the young men, African American men, black boys in particular. It doesn't send a positive message. So we have to be very sensitive to that and do our best to create the narrative, because they can easily. I see now they got the meme of the brother of what he said he would do and how he meant it. That'll get out of control, and then that try to spark something up, among people like him. So we got to be very careful and sensitive to that.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, with the verdict. If it doesn't go with, um, with many people who looks at it as an injustice, I don't know how you could see what we saw and not look at it as an injustice, no matter what color you are. But you know, um, people, especially with this um, election of the last president we had, it's coming out more and more that we obviously don't see things the same, no matter how clear it looks to us. People, are looking at things a little different, and they're showing, what the hatred and the rancor in their heart. It's coming out even more, even with him leaving office. But I've said this before, that the precedent was set a long time ago with verdicts or the lack of convictions with these kind of cases with Trayvon Martin. That was so dangerous and damaging, and I've done talks about it when I was in North Carolina at that time. When they let George Zimmerman off for stalking and murdering a child, he was a child. When they let him off, that set a dangerous precedent in America far beyond what happened directly with George Zimmerman killing Trayvon Martin. The precedent was, if we can get away with letting off a grown man for stalking a child, anything goes from here on out. Anything goes. And he didn't do a day in prison. It took him 45 days to even arrest him. He was running around free for 45 days. And then a jury of women, it was about 8 women on that. See, they keep coming down on George Zimmerman, but no one is holding accountable the jury that found him not guilty. I believe 6 or 7 of the 12 jury members were women that had teenage children. Hardly no one talks about that. I'm gonna say that again. If you look up that jury of the Trayvon Martin case with George Zimmerman, about 6 of the 12 jury members were women that had children, and they didn't find it in their heart to give this man 1 day in prison for stalking and murdering a child, and they had children themselves. So the precedent was set when he was found not guilty. If we let off a man for stalking and murdering a child, anything goes. And we saw what happened after that. Case after case of police officers seemingly murdering men, women, and children with hardly no punishment. How many cases did we see after that uh, Trayvon Martin case of police officers being convicted when it seemed like it was clear that it was unjustified? Sandra Bland, Eric Gardner, I mean, one after another, police officers not even being charged. So I wouldn't be surprised if he would be found not guilty, this George Chauvin, or if he is found guilty, a slap on the wrist. I expect him to be found not guilty. They're already setting the the groundwork for it, saying that he was drunk, he was out of control, he had pre-existing health conditions that was the real reason for his death. Or if he is convicted, I expect a slap on the wrist, and then we have to look and see what the reaction to be from the public.
And that's what I mean, as far as like the sensitivity, right? Because that's the narrative, right? They wanna entice the ignorant to become more ignorant, right? They want us to not have a trust in the systems of our society, so much so that we're always in that reactionary state. So we do have to, get ahead of it and again use it as a moment where we could get beyond and know what is our responsibility and our role as citizens.
Mhm. But do I want to man, I'm just gonna speak the truth. I'm not worried about this mayor stuff. Do you understand, not just you, but everyone, what I was saying about the Trayvon Martin case? The precedent was set. That case uh, was out in the public July of 2013. So that was 8 years ago. If you can find someone not guilty of stalking and murdering a child, this isn't far-fetched for them to find him not guilty. Murder is murder. I'm not devaluing our brother's life. I'm talking about in their mindset. The precedent was set now that anything goes. He was a child. He was a child, and he didn't get a day in prison. That was July 13th of 2013, the case of George Zimmerman versus Trayvon Martin. He was a child, so that means anything goes from this point out. And then we have to look at the environment around what's going on, meaning the distractions. You got this thing with the young man with the sneakers that we just talked about. You got the case, not the case, but we have the internet distraction of this Derek Jack. Do you know him?
Yeah, I heard about
Derek
that.
Jackson, the
Yeah.
supposed relationship guru. He's been giving relationship advice on YouTube and the internet for years. Now he's been found that he's been cheating on his wife and had the women in the bed that him and his wife sleep in. We also have the tragedy with uh, the violence against Asians, I believe, in Atlanta. Do you think this is a coincidence that all these things are happening at the same time as the trial of Derek Chauvin? It isn't. It's a distraction to take us away from police brutality of black people in America. Then you have Biden, who has made an executive order against violence against Asians because of the tragedy that happened there in Atlanta a couple of weeks ago. We do not condone violence against anyone, but to have an executive order against violence against Asians when black people have been terrorized in America since we've come here. No executive order. So he and Kamala Harris is following suit with those before them. It's just being done in a slick way, an executive order. We've been being terrorized since we come here, and no executive order has been made against violence against us. And again, I want to make it crystal clear: we don't condone violence against anyone. We sympathize with those who have been victimized against with violence there in Atlanta. But it's also strange that the president comes out with an executive order when no executive order has been made against the violence against us.
That's
Yeah,
true.
just dissect that, people here in New York, PA, that want to, yeah, go on and dissect it. I'll stand by my words.
To that point, I mean, me and my friend, we was doing some research, and they actually have something called I think it's called the Bald Eagle or the Bald and Golden Eagle Protection Act,
What's that?
because it's a national emblem. You could be convicted of a federal crime for killing a bird,
Oh,
the eagle. And so, like you said, I mean, it's beyond laughable because it's and again, like if we put our psyche underneath these, you know, this narrative, it'll continue to perpetuate. Just know that it's a scheme. Going back to Satan, right? He tries to influence you with poverty, with fear, with death. Um, but again, it's just a scheme, and unfortunately, we've been victimized for so long under this scheme, under this oppression, that it doesn't look like we can see our way out of it. But we can.
Why not have an executive order, Mr. Biden and Ms. Harris, against violence against anyone? Why do you make a specific executive order for the violence against Asians when we have people in this country way before Asians started migrating to this country? And if violence and terrorism has been uh, carried out against the Native Americans, Black people in this country since we have come here. No executive order from any president. Now, an executive order. And again, we sympathize with the violence against the Asian family. We don't condone Asian violence against anybody. No one should be terrorized. No one should be victimized. But why a specific executive order and made a trip there? We've been lynched on trees. We got the documents and the pictures to prove it. No executive order. That's very strange. And all this is going on to distract the people of what's really going on with the police brutality. I believe it's all a strategic distraction to take us away from police brutality and terrorism against Black people in America with this thing with this Derek Jacks, with his wife, the relationship guru, these satanic sneakers. But the real issue going on is with this case. I believe it's a distraction, but the woke ones still know what's going on.
Yes, sir.
Yep, yeah, dissect that, Satan. Dissect it. I'm gonna stand by my word and I'm gonna keep pushing forward to be the mayor of York. I'm not gonna be silenced on truth and be tiptoeing around issues and people of all backgrounds or suffering. I'll stand by my word straight up.
Yeah, I'm looking it up now. The memorandum. They call it the. Oh no, that's not. That's something different.
Yeah, our brother Mr. Woodson said blacks never get anything specific, and Harris said she would not do anything specific for blacks. Yeah, but they made a specific order for the Asian family and others. We know what it is. If you're gonna make it an executive order, just make it an executive order. We don't condone violence against anyone. Don't make it specific for one. And we have a long, long history of people being terrorized in this country, like the Native Americans and Black people here in America, who helped build this country.
Well, it's interesting.
Did you see the memorandum, brother?
Yeah, I found it.
You didn't know that, huh?
Yeah.
Can you
Advancing.
read it?
Yeah, yes, it's not too long.
Mhm.
Again, there's some teachable moments in here, but you're right. I mean, the overall spirit of it tends to again contradicts itself, right? So, advancing inclusion and belonging for people of all races, national origins, and ethnicities is critical to guaranteeing the safety and security of the American people. During the coronavirus disease 2019 COVID-19 pandemic, inflammatory and xenophobic rhetoric has families, communities, and businesses at risk. The federal government must recognize that it has played a role in furthering these xenophobic sentiments through the actions of political leaders, including references to the COVID-19 pandemic by the geographic location of its origin. Such statements have stoked unfounded fears and perpetuated stigma about Asia Americans and Pacific Islanders, and have contributed to increasing rates of bullying, harassment, and hate crimes against to the Asian American Pacific Islander families and communities that must be addressed. Despite these increasing acts of intolerance, Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders have made our nation more secure during the COVID-19 pandemic and throughout our history. An estimated 2 million Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders have served on the front lines of this crisis as healthcare providers, as first responders, and in other essential roles. Should I continue?
Yeah, that's enough, I guess. But it's plenty links on there. I'm sure that you're seeing about the executive order by President Biden about the violence against Asian Americans. It's just strange to me as it relates to the long history of terrorism against us in this country. No executive order of any sort. And again, we don't condone violence against anyone. It's just strange.
Yeah, the only way I can see, you know, getting through some of this is like we have to tap into like a higher perception, right? The guidance. But other than that, like you said, I mean, it doesn't make sense. I mean, a lot of
Mhm.
things that we go through and suffer through as a people, there's no logic and justification behind it. So that warrants me to think that there has to be a greater role or a bigger purpose for the things that we're going through. Um, so
And if you look at that incident down there in Atlanta, a lot of our people is marching in the streets with them um, against, the violence against the Asian American family to show how, sympathetic and empathetic we can be, towards others, even though we're painted in the media as being, heartless and callous. If you look at the marching down there, many of us is supporting um, the violence against them. But now let me stop there. Nah, I'm gonna leave it alone.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, it'll just continue to spiral away, because there's no way you can make sense out of something that's ignorant, right? Um, Justification for oppression is nowhere tolerated uh, in scripture and in our natural humanity. We just become so accustomed to these different, setbacks that it just becomes, part of our everyday experience, and we seem to not know how to get out of it.
Does anyone have any questions before we wrap up tonight? Any questions or topics that you want us to cover or address? We're here for you. Just talking about a lot of current events that's going on. It's shaping our country as we move along. We are in the fourth month of 2021 already, more than a third way through the year. So a lot of things going on. So we're just covering these uh, current events and giving our own interpretation of what Islam would say. It's such a broad faith that we could take any topic and give, a commentary on what God says, our book says, what our prophet says about these different issues. That's the beauty of it. It's not in a box. Any questions? No one saying nothing on the other feed tonight, bro.
No, mine's quiet.
People, people must be busy tonight, man. Mhm,
Yeah, it's quiet.
mhm. Our brother said, "Do you believe in another life on other planets?" Yes, our book talks about. Um, I believe it's in chapter 11 or 12, and it talks about, um, hints around to life on other planets. Can you pull that verse up, brother? I can't think of the direct verse, but anywhere you have water, you have life. So I don't know if it's the way that they try to portray it with little people with big eyes and these little saucer planes. I don't know, but they need to worry about what's going on here. But God tells us that there's life on other planets. Um, where you see light, and you see water, it's life. And they've discovered that it's water on other planets. They need to mind their own business, though. Mm. Are you able to pull that verse up, brother? You looking for it?
Yeah, I'm looking for it now.
Yeah. So we're gonna pull up a verse for you, my friend, about how our book does give us a clue that there is life on other planets. What they're doing, how they're doing it, I don't know. It may be some Islamic scholars that can give a deeper interpretation, but I know our book does. The brother's looking for the quote. Um, God is all encompassing. So I'm just trying to keep my life under control. I don't need, I don't got time to be worried about what they doing on Jupiter or Mars or whatever. But I believe there is life on other planets.
Yeah, I've come across several verses. I'll just read a fundamental one in regards to, um, as you mentioned, life came from water. The Quran describes that Allah made from water every living thing. And in another verse, he describes how Allah has created every animal from water. Of them are some that creep on their bellies, some that walk on two legs, and some that walk on four. Allah create what He wills, for truly Allah has power over all things. And then there are verses that support the scientific theory of life beginning uh, in the Earth's ocean, and so forth and so on, right? And so, one of the main things that the scripture, though it invites us to investigate the creation present in our immediate surrounding and as far as we can imagine or as far as we can reach over it all, is that we have to be able to be responsible for whatever we come in contact with, right? So sometimes we want to know things that, if we get the knowledge of, are we ready to respond and act in accordance with that, right? So we definitely respect the imagination of the human being, but if it's not checked by, morality and compassion and just truth and justice, um, we could create things that would mess up our senses, our natural senses, to comprehend, right? Because creation itself is a reading of our role and responsibility, you know. But yeah, it's so much to that.
Mhm. I know it's one verse that talks about other beings. I'm gonna look that up when I get home. It other says other beings outside of this world. It's a quote. I believe it's in chapter 11 of the Quran. It's either in chapter 11 or 13. That always caught my attention. It said other beings, but I can't remember the other verse. I believe it's in Hood, the chapter in the Quran called Hood. It might be, but it literally says other beings. But I'll look that up and maybe we can add that in to our next discussion, God willing. But this country does have a wild imagination. You believe it's a Sasquatch?
The who?
Sasquatch,
What's that?
Bigfoot,
Oh yeah.
Bigfoot, but they can't cure racism. Interesting. Bigfoot, the Lochless monster, can't cure racism. Very interesting. Mhm. Any other questions or topics before we sign off? Yeah, the audience is quiet. It's quiet tonight, man. But definitely let your family and friends know that with our What is Islam podcast, we bring up some topics that's going on. We try to give as much clarity as we can about the faith of Islam. We open to any questions or topics. We don't always have to agree. We're just here educating ourselves and doing the best we can to educate those who are interested in being educated about this faith that has been much maligned. A lot of Hollywood stuff, a lot of misinterpretations, a lot of stereotypes. We're just here to clear the air and try to educate ourselves and educate people who want to know what the real deal is.
Absolutely.
Any questions or comments before we sign off?
Yeah, I don't see it on my end.
Okay. Well, we're here every Thursday at 7 p.m. on New Exchange on YouTube. Yeah, of course, my Facebook page, and we have Juma prayer on Fridays at 1 o'clock, which is our Friday prayer. Men, women, and children are encouraged to come and are welcome. 629 West Market Street here in York, 1 p.m. sharp. Now it's tomorrow, Good Friday.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Every day.
So, uh-huh.
Yes.
hmm hmm Yeah.
June
So tomorrow
17th.
is Good Friday. I think we have one more. It says, "How do you the system can be changed when blacks don't have the finance or power? How how do you the system?" I think he said, "How can the system be changed when blacks don't have the finance or the power?" Mm. Wanna address that? Mm.
Yeah, human power is where all power comes in from. That affects the human being. I mean, anything that we get the benefit of, it comes from our humanity. So, uh, by us being still connected to our original nature as a people, after all that we've been through, the real power is just us accepting our humanity and not allowing other people to dictate what it is to be human or how you got to fit in society. I think once we tap into that, I mean, everything else come from that. I mean, who created finance? Who created money? It was human beings. The monkeys didn't do it. The other species didn't do it. It was the human being. So if we just embrace our humanity and connect on our common human excellence and one for as in our faith we say one for our brothers, but one for ourselves. Uh, Power, money, wealth, education, material resources, weapons, all those things, they come as a result of a human being. Um, that's my take on it.
Mhm.
I remember,
So mhm.
I was gonna
Yes.
say, I remember the Honorable Muhammad said in regards to using another man's weapon to destroy him. Um, it's got counterproductive. Like,
Mhm. So he said, "How can we change when blacks don't have the finance or the power?" But my brother, we do have the finance and we do have the power because by their own statistics, black people in America are the 10th richest ethnic group in the world. It's our mindset that makes it seem like we don't have power. We spend millions of dollars on hair products, millions of dollars on Jordans, millions of dollars on liquor and alcohol, millions of dollars on traveling and things like that. If we was to pool our money together and leave off some of those foolish things that isn't going to get us anywhere and start having banks and hospitals and learning institutions, we have the finance, we have the power, but it is our mindset that makes us seem like we poor. But that statistic has been floating around out there for years about the purchase power of black people just in America alone. We have $1 trillion purchasing power just in America alone. But what are we purchasing? Is it anything to move us ahead as a people? A lot of it isn't, evidenced by the money that we spend on Jordans, alcohol, liquor, hair. So we have the power, we have the finance, we're just not using it effectively. So until we get that mindset straight and start spending our money in a productive way like everyone else does, it's going to seem like we don't have no finances and we don't have no power. We have plenty finances, we have the power, it's just not being spent right. So just think of just Google the purchasing power of what we are spending our money on. Millions and billions of dollars on alcohol, liquor, Jordans, hair, and we can keep on breaking it down to other things. It's not getting us anywhere. So we have the power. We have it. It's our mindset. Any other questions before we sign off?
Yeah, we have to come to a common or shared idea of life. I think that was one of the elders in our history said. You know, we have to have a common or shared idea of life, what it is to be a human being from our family tree. You know, other ethnic groups, other cultures, they have their idea of life, what it is for them to be, what they want to be from their family and their family tree. Um, so we should be again using this time to embrace, like you said, all this technology, all this research, all this access to things. Um, but where is our collective understanding for what is our role as a people? Why are we always, you know, trying to catch up or compete with someone else's idea of life or appetites? What you mentioned, what a lot of the things are a result of failed appetites. You know, you can't control the appetite,
Hmm.
and that's one of the practices of the fast is to get in your own check your appetites.
Yeah, that's why they're giving us them what they call them stimmy checks. They know we're just going to give it right back to them. You know, a lot of foolishness. You know, with this money that's supposedly given it, it's to stimulate the community and to stimulate any business. You know, for us, they know many of us is going to give it right back. I was even at the mall. Very rare do I go to the mall, but I felt like it was. I think I've earned the right to treat myself to some comfortable pair of shoes in the Galleria Mall right here in York, which for years now has looked like a ghost town to the point where they're going to change that to a part of it to a casino. Yeah, the Galleria Mall, they're gonna turn it into a casino for you to gamble away your money, which is gonna cause family problems, and society has proven whenever you have gambling, you have prostitution and drugs. That's no revelation. But anyway, well, the last few times that I've been going to the Galleria Mall, just looking for myself for a comfortable pair of sneakers, you should see the amount of people that have all of a sudden populating that mall when it's almost looked like a ghost town. All the food courts is gone, most of the stores is gone, but now it's been a revival at the Galleria Mall. Why? Because of the stimulus checks. People buying up, you know, all kind of $200 sneakers. And by the way, I never bought a pair of sneakers because I said I am not paying no $220 for no sneakers. So I'll just make do what I have until I can find a pair of sneakers that's comfortable. But I'm not paying no $220 for no air vapors or whatever they call it. But you should see the people out there. Bam. And if you got two, three people in your family or two, three children, and you buy liquor and all that stuff, man, them checks is gonna be good. And they know that because they know the mindset.
Unmute your phone. It's saying they went to mute. You see it? Give us a moment, real quick. They're playing with our wires. Yeah, just click.
Now it's in unmute.
Yeah,
What part did
you talking about the shoes? I heard they're nice for them vapors.
uh oh yeah, the with the stimulus checks, the Galleria Mall, it's really been popping the last couple of weeks. You know, like I said, I went there to get me a comfortable pair of sneakers. I refused to pay $220 for some Nike Air Max vapes or whatever they're called. But I've been seeing our people out there, and you figure 220 a pop, and you got three, four, five family members getting a pair. That stimmy check is going to be gone. And then you add in the liquor, the alcohol, and the partying and all that, it's going to be gone. They know these things. So, you know, it's the mindset. It's the mindset. Any questions before we sign off? Any topics before we sign off? You have anything, brother, before we sign off? Any closing comments?
Just again, thank you all for tuning in to this platform. We're trying to, or we have been over the last, actually, we're coming up on a year. This platform, New Freedom Exchange, we're coming up on a year. We look to have a little function, for lack of a better word, a festival in our year of review. We're going to highlight some of the things that we've been focusing on and trying to bring to the media and the airwaves. Our theme is social dignity and community empowerment. And so over these last several 10, 12 months, we've been highlighting those in our community throughout the country and our association who bring another, which we call should be the natural alternative, but in most cases it's an alternative on how we see things, how we perceive things, and how there are people that are winning with this new perception that we believe is not getting as much attention. And why would it, right? You wouldn't expect, someone to present something that's going to undermine the impact that they've been having on us that keep us down. And so we've been, fighting a good fight and presenting on these different media outlets and platforms. And we welcome any of you who have an interest in collaborating or building this new perception that we have to share with our next generation. Because if we don't present something to compete or combat, the influences that they're getting, it's just going to be another generation starting over again underneath an influence that that they're clueless of, and they're going to be getting hit from all sides and thinking they're expressing their human freedom when they could be really expressing something that's oppressing their human potential. So I'm always thankful to be on this platform, especially with you, Brother Shareef, on the Hour of Power and the Truth and Power podcast, because again, that's another perspective that's not normally given on these airwaves.
Did you see Sister Marsha's comment? She said she wasn't able to post comments to destinations. Did you see that comment?
Mm-mm.
It's in the thread on the right there.
I must have missed it.
It's the last one there. Said can't post comments to some destinations. I don't know exactly what she means by that, but I wanted to acknowledge her concern.
Oh, okay, it's probably I know we're on 4 different platforms, so depending on who's posting, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, definitely. So we're just going to keep grinding on this platform. I can't thank God enough for bringing you here, to this city with this location that we have here. And I pray that we continue to reach out in many different ways and many different avenues to, to wake up the people. And we're just using the technology that God blessed us with to reach out to the masses. And I hope this grows so we can give different perspective on a great faith that's much maligned, very a lot of stereotypes and just basic misunderstandings with this technology. Hopefully, we can clear these things up and open up the hearts and minds of the people, especially those who really want truth and want to expand their mind and their thinking and come closer to the Most High. So that's my prayer, and that's going to be our actions, God willing.
And again, we invite you all coming up in this month of Ramadan to join us in reading the scripture called the Quran, the Muslim Bible, for lack of a better expression. For the next, I think we start projected to start around April the 12th. So we'll be having daily readings for anyone who would like to join in reading with us and reading for yourself firsthand the book that has guided humanity to all new avenues of inquiry and productivity. I do have a track we're going to play that was submitted by our dear sister Marsha, her daughter, called Islamophobia. So we'll play that on our way out, if there's no other closing remarks.
Peace and blessings.
Until next time, thank you.
On June 17th, 2015, Dylan Ruff walked into a midweek Bible study. He sat and prayed with the church members before pulling out his gun, killing most, and allowing one to live. After the incident, he was found and arrested peacefully. When Dylan Ruff killed 9 innocent black people, we did not question his God. He wore flags of apartheid Africa. We did not question his allegiance. He committed the crime alone. We did not question his people. When Adam Lanza shot a classroom full of first graders at Sandy Hook Elementary, we did not ask him to leave the country. When Timothy McVeigh killed 168 people in Oklahoma, we did not call this a crime against every American. When the KKK killed thousands of black people while swearing to uphold Christian morality, we did not ask them to remove their robes. We did not call all Christians bigots. Do you see it? How we don't label all white men based on the sins of a few, do you see it? How we don't have to condemn a whole class of people based on the actions of some, do you see it? How all the names are different, how all the faces are different, how all the people are different, therefore, we should not condemn all Muslims for the radicalism of a group. If you want to persecute ISIS, go ahead, but to persecute ISIS is to persecute those that gave them power. To persecute those that gave them power is to persecute the U.S. government. Do your research. Islam is not synonymous with terror. It is literally submission, it is devotion, it is peace. Terrorism is actually forbidden, and jihad does not mean holy war. It means struggle, it means survival, it means standing face to face with everything that wants to put you in the ground and choosing to be alive. Do your research and stop listening to CNN. Stop trading humanity for hypocrisy. Stop staring at Muslims in the airport. Stop letting your fear drag you into ignorance. Stop supporting billionaire Republicans who want to scare you into murdering the innocent, and start supporting leaders who speak peace in their native tongue. Instead of burning down the mosque, burn down the walls around the pulsating muscle in your chest and realize that we all have one. And lastly, as the customary greeting goes, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. Wa alaikum assalam, and upon you be peace. Do you see it?